Does your child struggle to understand what's being said to them, even though their hearing is perfectly normal? Do they frequently have difficulty following instructions? Perhaps there are times when you speak to them and all you get is a blank stare in response. Or maybe on some occasions, it feels like they're simply ignoring you. If any of this sounds familiar, your child might be facing auditory processing disorder. Now, you might be wondering, is this just another term for a hearing problem? The answer is no. It's not a hearing problem at all, even though it might appear that way. It's about how the brain processes and makes sense of sounds, not just about how well we hear them. Many parents aren't even aware this is a thing, yet shockingly, 2 to 7% of kids suffer from it. This condition can lead them to struggle with understanding spoken language or following verbal instructions. Moreover, if left unaddressed, it can even pave the way to dyslexia or other learning challenges. Don't want that for your child? Sit back while we explore APD complexity, its effect on your child and even you, and most importantly, the ways to help your child better understand the world around them. When we talk about hearing, we're generally referring to the ear's ability to pick up sound waves. But APD is fundamentally about how the brain processes those sounds, especially speech sounds. So when your child hears your voice or their teacher's instructions, it's not that they can't hear, it's that their brain interprets these sounds differently. Think of it like this. You know how sometimes you can hear a word in a foreign language, and even though you hear it, you don't understand it? For children struggling with APD, the experience is somewhat similar, but happens with the sounds in their own language. But first, you might be asking, if it's not a hearing problem, then why does it seem like one? The key lies in understanding the processing part of auditory processing disorder. You see, the ears might catch the sound just fine, but the information can get jumbled, delayed, or altered by the time it reaches the brain for interpretation. Think of APD like a game of telephone you might have played as a child. You know the game? Someone whispers a message into the ear of the person next to them, and the message goes around the circle. By the time it reaches the last person, the message is usually quite different from how it started. Even though everyone heard the message, something got lost or altered along the way. That's what APD is like. The message, or in this case, the sound, starts clearly, but can get distorted by the time the brain interprets it. This distortion manifests in various ways. Number one, sound differences. Children struggling with auditory processing disorder may confuse similar sounding words like hearing bat when someone says pat. 2. Selective listening. They often find it hard to focus on a single voice or sound when there's background noise, making it challenging, for example, to hear a teacher clearly in a busy classroom. 3. Auditory retention. Remembering what they've heard can be a struggle. Simple song lyrics or rhymes that peers easily recall might elude them. 4. Processing order. Sequences can get jumbled. They might reverse numbers, hearing 32 as 23, or slightly mispronounce words, saying effluent instead of elephant. But you may still be wondering, how does this specifically affect my child's life? Picture your child in a classroom. The teacher is speaking. Classmates are whispering. In the background, there's the hum of a projector and the tapping of a keyboard. For most kids, honing in on the teacher's words is almost instinctive. But for a child with APD, this normal environment morphs into a chaotic maze of distractions. They might find it hard to grasp the teacher's instructions, to keep up in group discussions, or even to jot down notes. They aren't merely hearing the teacher. They're wrestling to tune out the multitude of other noises, each clamoring for attention with near equal intensity. Now, think about the emotional toll. Beyond the academic struggles, grappling with reading or following a lesson, Their interpersonal relationships can take a hit. Conversations become obstacle courses. A friend's laugh, a teacher's instruction, a parent's comforting words, all these can sometimes become a jumble of sounds. They might misinterpret tone, missing out on the nuanced emotions in conversations, leading to unintended misunderstanding. In a world where so much is communicated through sound, a disruption in auditory processing isn't just about missing words. It's about missing context, intent, and emotions. It's about feeling isolated in a crowd, disconnected even when the world is buzzing around. To sum it up, it's a constant endeavor for clarity in a world that sometimes feels out of tune. And believe me, the ripple doesn't stop with your child. It surges forward to touch you directly. When we talk about parents and their children, it's often a tale of intertwined emotions. So imagine for a moment the heavy weight of emotional stress pressing down on you when you see your own flesh and blood grappling, struggling to make sense out of the sounds around them. It's not just about missing a word here and there. It's the profound heartache of seeing them bewildered in a world they should feel at home in. Then there's the gnawing anxiety about their academic progress, the sleepless nights worrying whether they'll ever fit in socially or if they'll always feel like an outsider in their own peer group. These aren't mere concerns. They're like relentless shadows that follow you every step, lurking in your thoughts, intensifying with each missed word or misunderstood sentence from your child. If you find yourself overwhelmed by these feelings, we highly recommend you watch our Overly Emotional Child trailer. This documentary is a masterclass in teaching parents about emotional intelligence, guiding you on how to manage both your emotions and your child's. It's an invaluable resource in navigating the challenging journey of parenting. But if we're being utterly real here, the challenges aren't just emotional. Practically, you find yourself thrust into the role of an advocate, a relentless champion for your child in schools and therapy sessions. It means countless meetings with teachers who might not fully understand APD, countless hours with therapists who are trying to bridge that auditory gap for your child. In this whirlwind, it can sometimes feel like you're losing a piece of your own life, your own identity, as every moment becomes about securing a better, clearer world for your child. And while it might sound extreme, there's a darker rabbit hole we could tumble into. Imagine the compounded anxiety day in and day out, chipping away at a mother's health. It's not unheard of for such prolonged stress to lead to severe health concerns. It can make one susceptible to various health issues, from weakened immunity to more serious chronic conditions. We're talking about a domino effect here. Your child's behavioral challenges potentially giving rise to parental anxiety, which, if left unchecked, could escalate to grave health issues. And it's not just your struggling child or you who are swept up in this tempest. The siblings aren't immune either. Imagine for a moment being the brother or sister of a child with APD. While they might not fully grasp the technicalities of the disorder, they innately sense the difference. They watch their sibling, whom they deeply care for, navigate the world differently. Perhaps there's envy when they see peers effortlessly communicating, or a deep-seated frustration when they themselves become the inadvertent source of confusion for their sibling. And let's not gloss over the bouts of sadness when they witness their brother or sister misunderstood or sidelined. At times, they might even shoulder an unintended burden of becoming their sibling's protector, interpreter, or even spokesperson in social settings. There's a precocious maturity that's thrust upon them, a maturity they neither asked for nor were prepared for. Being a child themselves, the weight of these unspoken responsibilities can cast long shadows over their own childhood, coloring their memories with hues of concern and protective vigilance. However, for every child struggling with APD, remember it's not a dead end. There's always a beacon of hope, a route to transform challenges into stepping stones for growth. To pave the way for this transformation, here are 4 simple strategies to better support and empower your child. Number 1, craft a calm corner at home. According to the American Speech Language Hearing Association, children with APD benefit from reduced background noise. A quiet environment can minimize distractions, allowing the child's brain to focus solely on the primary auditory input without competition. So, all you have to do is designate a calm corner in your home, a sanctuary free from the usual household hubbub. This serene place can become a haven for your child whenever they need to concentrate or simply seek solace from overwhelming noises. However, while this provides immediate relief, it's important to remember it's just a stopgap. In the long term, you'll want your child to overcome this difficulty and thrive in various environments. Fortunately, there are exercises and techniques specifically designed to help them do just that. 2, embrace the power of visual aids. The Journal of Neuroscience highlights how using both auditory and visual cues together can enhance understanding. And because you are now using 2 senses, the information can be stored in multiple ways in the brain. Additionally, the senses integrate better so that they can work together to interpret information. In short, incorporate visual aids like charts, flashcards, or even simple hand gestures to complement your verbal communication, so you can give your child's brain a dual pathway to comprehend and store information. 3, set the scene with preemptive briefings. A study in the Journal of Child Psychology and Psychiatry suggests that children with processing disorders benefit from predictable routines and forewarning. So before diving into activities or conversations, give your child a brief rundown, whether it's setting expectations for a family outing or previewing the day's lesson. This heads up helps them mentally gear up, reducing potential surprises or confusions. 4, leverage technology tailored for APD. The International Journal of Audiology has recognized the potential of tech interventions, noting their efficacy in enhancing auditory training for children with APD. There are numerous apps and specialized tools designed with APD in mind. Introduce your child to these technologies, especially in academic settings, to facilitate a more engaging and adaptive learning experience. But what if you want more? What if you're seeking a tailored solution designed to address the unique challenges your child faces with APD? That's where we come in. We offer specialized auditory processing program designed to effectively address the challenges of auditory processing problems. And since auditory processing problems can also be at the root of dyslexia, it can help there too. Think about this. When we read, we also hear the words in our brain. This is called auditory memory. So if these words were confused when they were actually heard, then when we read, because we are hearing them internally, they're going to be confused there as well. And because you're also introducing the cognitive load of reading and all of the intricacies and anomalies of the written word, and you have to process all of this at the same time. Well, things can get really jumbled around. And it just might be that the problems only occur when reading, because the extra cognitive load brings them to light. There are methods used by therapists to remedy this. But not only is therapy expensive and inconvenient, but if it's not carried out regularly, then it is very slow to have an effect. That's how the brain works. It needs regular exercise, just like our body. If an exercise isn't done regularly, the brain doesn't pay much attention. We all know how well cramming for a test works, right? You cram all that information in, take the test, then forget it all. Auditory processing therapy is the same. Once a week won't do a lot of good, but 15 minutes a day, well, that's a different story. The brain stands up and pays attention. It says, this person keeps feeding me this task. It must be important. Let's pay attention. So We made a program where that's easy to indulge and easy to access. Just open it up and do a few 5-minute exercises each day. That's all it takes. Because it's the consistency that is the secret. And we make it easy and affordable to be consistent. Can you imagine what going to a therapist every day would cost? Not to mention the time out of your day. Never before has there been such a convenient solution. Never before could you do this at home. So this is like a once-in-a-century opportunity that could turn your child's life around and make them great at understanding. As an early adopter of this system, qualified for a trial to see for yourself how impactful this program can be. We're here.